Good morning and welcome to our daily devotion. So, yesterday we talked about the importance of forgiveness. And, it really hit me afterwards. And then, I had Bible study last night with the Heart Group from May's, a Close to My Heart group, and it was a powerful evening, and it was really eye-opening to me. And so I want to go back real quick before we do today's daily devotion and just talk a minute or two about forgiveness. We talked about how important it is to forgive others who hurt us and stuff, but what I didn't mention and what I learned about myself last night is that we need to forgive ourselves when we do something wrong, or when we feel like we failed God. We need to forgive ourselves. And I tend to live in guilt for a while there and camp out, and that's not really having faith to believe that God forgives us when we ask Him to, if we can't forgive ourselves. And so I'm going to be working really hard on that one, to not to live in the camp of guilt, because Jesus says when we sin and our sins are forgiven, that He doesn't even remember them. They're as far as the east is from the west. And if our God is gracious enough to forgive us for our sins, then who are we to be living in our sin? That's Satan. That's Satan trying to play in our heads and say that we're not worthy. We're not worthy of forgiveness. And we need not to let the enemy win that battle. We need to win that battle ourselves. But sometimes it's easier said than done. So, if you live in that camp, I pray that you will find peace from God to deal with that. And I just pray that you will learn to forgive yourself for mistakes and realize that not everything happens in this world because of your sin. And I'm going to try to do the same thing. So thank you for just letting me revisit this for a moment. So today, our devotion comes from John 8:12, and it says, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." And I think it just goes along so well with what we've been talking about. And it's entitled "Waiting for the Light." It says, "Wouldn't it be cool to have a lighted path in front of you that showed you where to go and what to do? You do, Jesus is the light of the world. Staying close to Him, reading His Word, and praying means that your path will be lit. Does that mean you always know exactly what to do at any given moment? No. It does mean that if you wait, He will guide you. If you rush ahead, making decisions and choices on your own, you'll end up in the darkness." Psalms 18:28 says, "You, Lord, keep my lamp burning. My God turns my darkness into light." And those words couldn't ring truer, because I know sometimes it's hard to seek direction and wait to get that direction. You just want to jump ahead and get it going, and it's hard to sit there and wait for God to direct your path. I know it has been for me. These past 3 years of my life has probably been one of the longest journeys I've ever been on. For some of you that don't know my story, I walked around in the darkness a lot. Not the kind of darkness that says that, I don't believe in God or anything. That's never been the case. It's just back in 2011, in July of 2011, when my father had been sick with cancer for several months, and I traveled back and forth from where my home was out on the coast to where I live now. And my father passed away in July of 2011. And my mom and he had been married for 50 years. They were, they had this bond like you would not believe it, but it was there. My mom couldn't live without my dad. And she had health problems, but she gave up hope. And she died 7 months later. And then she died in February of 2012. And that following November of 2012, I was diagnosed with the same kind of cancer that killed my father. And I went all the way into 2013, doing treatments and things like that. And my employer decided that they didn't want me around anymore, and they fired me. Well, I live in a state called at-will state, and they can fire you for any reason. And no, they're not supposed to fire you if you're sick, but it's really hard. It's hard to prove. And so I lost my job, and subsequently I've been fighting to keep my home for the last year and a half. But during that time, I'm saying all this because during that time, I questioned a lot, like, what did I do so wrong that God has punished me so bad? And that goes back to the forgiveness things, because I never really forgave myself for a lot of things. And then moving forward, I realized I had made a lot of decisions myself that without even seeking the counsel of God. And so it's not that He led me down these dark paths. It's like I made decisions that chose my own path. I decided to make these choices. And instead of having my path lit by His Word, I walked in darkness because I totally ignored and did not wait on God's direction. And so, I'm still struggling with a lot of these issues that are going on. But now I really try hard to seek the counsel of the Lord before I make decisions and choices and things, because I don't like walking in the darkness. But I will say, during this time of trials, God has always been there for me. I still have a roof over my head. I still, I've been taken care of for 3 years. So I just want all you to know that life is not always easy, but if you have faith and you trust in God, you can get through it. I don't know when I'm truly going to see the peak of the mountain, but I've learned to live in the valley, because even in the valley, when we're at our lowest points, there's always rocks in the valley. And Jesus is our rock. He's the rock of our salvation. He's the one that we hold on to. So we cling to the rock and we wait to see the peak of the mountain. And today's devotion, if we want that path lit for us, then we need to make sure that we seek God and wait for His decisions for our lives, so that our path will be well lit and we don't stumble in the darkness. It's a hard lesson to learn. And if you're out there struggling, I will tell you also, it's a very humbling experience to be up here and then lose everything you have. And God teaches us lessons sometimes through our struggles. He doesn't cause things to happen to us, but through our struggles, He teaches lessons. And the lesson that I learned is sometimes you have to humble yourself and ask for help. And I've had to learn to do that. So if you're really struggling and you need somebody to talk to, or you need help, please ask somebody. Ask me. Ask anybody that you know, and get some help. I love all you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for joining in on our daily devotion, learning more about the Lord. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you all later. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye.